Hi, so this is a short video to show you how to do the upgrade. And depending on what version you have and which upgrade you actually got, it's slightly different, but ultimately it's relatively simple. The key bit is you have to have at the end of it an gyroscope that actually works and has all the important bits. So the key bit is you take your camera and you build up your gyroscope with the new parts. So what you do is if you have received only part of this, so one of the options is with the upgrade where you will only receive half of this. If that's the case, then you need to take the back panel, like if this is your old one, if you've only received half of the Iris Explorer, then you need to keep your back panel from your gyroscope. If you have received the whole thing, just keep the whole thing. Let's assume that you've now got a whole Iris Explorer. Either you received it like this or you had to take the back panel off your old one first and then attach it here. So make sure you close it. Oh, and by the way, in some countries, to some countries we can't send batteries anymore. So you may or may not have received a battery. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. That's shipping regulations for some areas or some routes. But just make sure that you've got a good quality battery in your Iris Explorer. When I say good quality, it's a good make, because some like cheaper brands, the voltage is slightly lower and the system on here is designed to detect a lower voltage to stop you from taking photos when the light level is going down a little bit, because it will make a difference to the quality of the images. So having a good quality battery is important. Okay, so you've got this now. So either you've just received it or you had to take the back panel from your old one. And you will have received, you may have received in the upgrade box an extension tube. If you've already got one, keep yours and just send the one we sent you back with your old Iris Explorer. So then you take your camera, you put it all together as usual. There you go. So this is an M50, so it's already got an adapter. That's not included. But you may not need it, depending on what your camera brand is or model is. So you attach all of this together. There you go. There you go. And then you attach it all like this. So if you had a version 5 before, you'll know all about the cable. If you've got any other versions of it, this will only work if your camera, I would have checked before you ordered anyway, I think. I always try to check. Just make sure you've got that center pin, which is the big connector in here. You have to have that on your camera for it to work. There we go. So now you've got it all mounted correctly. Switch the camera on. And the way to switch it on in burst mode is, like normally you would switch it on with the version 5 or with the version 4. You would switch the camera on just by clicking on the grey button, which you can still do. That works just perfectly as it is, and it will just take photos normally. But it has to start it from when both lights are off. And now the way you switch it on in burst mode is you first press the black button and then the grey button. And now it will detect, it will try and look for when the images are being taken. And so now, so that's how to switch it on this end for burst mode, but you need to put your camera also in burst mode. Now, depending on your camera model, it will be slightly differently. Now on this one here, on the M50, I hope you can see on the camera here, you can press on the little Q button on the screen, or sometimes on one of the buttons here you'll have 3 little rectangles, one over the top of each other. It's like 3 photos, one after another, which means burst mode. You're taking multiple photos very quickly, one after another. You may need to look in your manual if your camera's slightly different, if you haven't got that. But you can also find YouTube videos with instructions for most cameras. So just type in YouTube with your camera model and search for burst mode. 9 times out of 10 there will be somebody who's made a video on how to do burst mode in your camera. But if you get stuck, just send me an email. We can work it out. So anyway, sorry. So on the M50 and on the M6 and quite a few models now, you have like a Q button on the screen, which is quick menu. So you click on that, and then you're looking for here on the side here, which is called drive mode. And in drive mode, on some models you'll just have burst mode, and on some models you'll have high speed burst mode. Oops, and this will switch off if you leave it untouched for a minute. So I like it on the M50, you can put it on high speed burst mode. On some advanced cameras, the high speed is a little bit too fast, so you just have to put it on normal burst mode. Okay, so but on the M50 you can put it on high speed. And now the camera will take multiple photos very quickly. So let's give that a try. So I'll show you on here, so you should be able to see that on the screen. And it'll take 4 photos, or the flash will flash 4 times. The camera will keep on taking photos. So if you've taken 4 photos, it will go off, and then you'll see that the light's gone off, and you'll have a few black photos or very dark photos, but that doesn't matter. So like this. There you go. So I've taken about probably 4, 5, 6 photos. It's very difficult when it's in very fast mode. And then so okay, so that's the last photo I took. So that was a black one. The one before that is also dark. And now we've got the right photos. So you probably can't see on the camera here, but so it'll take so this is the last photo it took. So the very first photo was this one here. So it's both lights on at lower intensity, then full brightness on the right hand side, then full brightness on the left hand side, and then full brightness on both sides. So you've got 4 photos with the different lighting combinations that we recommend. If you're doing editing of photos and making posters, you're most likely going to want the 2 middle photos with the left and the right side lighting, and you would only use the side of the iris that is not illuminated, so you haven't got any reflections, and it will perfectly match. So if you're editing the photo, you'll take half and then stick it onto the other photo and use half. Now that's another video on how to edit photos, but that's what you use those 2 middle photos for posters. The side lighting is obviously useful for seeing the 3D elements, or you can see certain details slightly better with side lighting. The pupil border and things like that. So anyway, I'm going outside the scope of this video. So the key thing is make sure that you've got all the parts of the camera set up. So you've got the lighting system connected properly, the cable connected properly, the extension tube here, all attached. And now what you do is have a look at whatever you've got left over. So your old iriscope, the back panel probably, maybe not, and maybe the extension tube if you already had one. And so you put those back into the box, wrap them up, and send them back to me. And so that we've got 2 addresses. So anybody in the EU, we've got a French address so that you can send to, and anybody else in the world can send it to the UK address. But that will be in the email instructions as well, and it'll show you exactly what address it needs to be sent to. So yeah, if you've got any questions, send me an email. Thank you.